we're discussing all about Web3 and building decentralized apps. I dropped a link in the slides for you all into the chat. So welcome all, getting started with Web3 dApp development. Let me know if you can hear and see me well in the chat. And let's talk about the agenda for tonight. First, we're going to introduce Lumiwealth, and we're going to get to know all of you who's in the call. Then we're going to do an overview of some of the main topics in Web3. So as an introduction to our Web3 masterclass, which we're currently running the summer semester, and we have a fall semester that you're all welcome to join. Glad to hear everyone can see and hear me well, and hopefully you can see the slides too. So we're going to introduce web development in general, then dApp development, how to build a decentralized app, including what is Web3. So maybe some of you have some experience or knowledge about cryptocurrencies and the blockchain, maybe NFTs. Web3 dApp development is right there in the same field, very closely related, just another branch under the umbrella or the tree of the blockchain. Then we'll also talk about the course, about all the 10 weeks in this supersized course coming this fall. And you can ask any questions at the end of the night or throughout the whole night. Feel free to drop any questions or feedback in the chat. So let's start by getting to know some of you. Feel free to type out, what is your job? Do you know how to code? And how much experience do you have in building websites or with the blockchain? This will help us better understand who's joining us tonight so we can tailor the webinar for you. So if you're brave enough, please drop in the chat. I will start with myself. My name is Alexandra, and I am an instructor here at Lumiwealth, as well as a software developer. I've taught thousands of students just like you how to build smart contracts and decentralized apps here at Lumiwealth and at other online courses. All right, Cameron is one student saying they are a business analyst / product owner. All right, glad to hear some feedback. Justin says coding level over 9,000. All right, glad to hear some of you maybe have experience in coding. If you do have experience with coding, that will definitely help you with this course. But even if you have no experience, you can still take the course because we do start off by introducing the basics. Then we quickly increase the difficulty every single week. Right, another student, Cameron, started out as a software engineer. Great, if you do have a software background, that will definitely help you building dApps and in general in the course. And a beginner with blockchain programming, Cameron says, yes, that is pretty typical of my students. Most of the students that I get are complete beginners, even to coding. So if you do have that software background, that will be a great help. Rhoda says, business owner in healthcare, no experience. That is pretty common. As I mentioned, most of my students have no experience. That's why we designed this course to start off with the complete basics, talking about how to just build a website in general. And then we quickly increase the difficulty each week. So we will start off with a simple website, and then how to turn or transform that website into a decentralized website, a dApp. And then we build more complex dApps each week. Isaac says, I'm in the construction field and have no experience, only with trading crypto. Okay, at least you have done some trading in the blockchain space. We do get a lot of students transitioning from different career paths, so also quite normal. Justin's asking, what language? JavaScript. Yes, we are focusing on JavaScript in this course. So we do a bit of HTML, CSS, and then we learn JavaScript. We also use React, Node, Truffle, and MetaMask, Web3. several different libraries like ethers, but we're focusing on JavaScript, yes, in the course to build out our website because about 97% of websites are built with JavaScript. Great question. All right, next, let's introduce Lumiwealth. Lumiwealth, here we are an online school. We have different courses like trading as a business, crypto trading using algorithms, algorithmic trading, machine learning, and options trading. So mostly focused in the financial field, but we do have 2 new courses in the blockchain space, blockchain programming, and the related course, this one, Web3, using React. Williams adding in healthcare have had minimal coding in a few different languages, but still a beginner. All right, thanks for commenting. If you do have coding experience, even if it's minimal, it will help you out. Frank says, I'm in the same boat. I'm in the construction industry and moving into this space. You mentioned no experience necessary. I'm with Robert in crypto trading. Yes, no experience is necessary. We will start with the very basics of building a regular website. Then we'll learn how to turn that website into a dApp. So we'll start off with just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and then we'll add more tools to our tool belt like React.js. So even if you've never built a website before, you can still follow along. Of course, it will take a bit more effort if you've never coded before compared to someone who already has coding experience. You'll definitely have a leg up. All right, on our YouTube channel, we will be posting this webinar if you want to watch back. So I'll drop a link to our YouTube channel in the chat. Please subscribe and get notified because we do post our webinars and our student reviews here on the YouTube channel, as well as additional tutorials. So please subscribe to us on YouTube. Justin's asking, in 10 weeks? Yes, this course is supersized. It is 10 weeks. Blockchain programming, I know, is 8 weeks. This one is 10 weeks. We also have, of course, a Circle community. All of you are joining me on lumiwealth.circle.so. We also have a Discord channel. Although we are moving over to Circle, we still are happy to chat on Discord as well. Thanks for subscribing, Justin. And please ask any questions that you may have throughout the night. We're happy to answer anytime. All right, now that all of you are subscribed, hopefully, let's start with our first topic of the night. What is web development in general? Because a dApp is just a regular website that is connecting to the blockchain. So before we can build a dApp, we have to understand, how do we build a regular app? So in our course, we will start week 1 just learning how to build a regular website with 3 fundamental tools, and those are HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So we will quickly cover the basics of web development in week 1. HTML is a markup language, so similar to a coding language. It's used to list out what elements you want on your website. Do you want an image? Do you want an input field? Do you want a form? Do you want a navigation menu? Everything that you want on the website, you list out in HTML. So that is the first tool that we will learn. We'll also cover CSS, which is used to style a website. So if you want to position elements on a page or add padding or change the colors or fonts of your web page, then you'll do so with CSS. These 2 are typically used to set up a website. So every website you have to set up with at least HTML, and then you can add CSS for styling. If you built a web page with just HTML and CSS, you would have a page that you could put on the internet. However, this page would not be able to do anything. It would just be able to display some information, Maybe you want to have a portfolio site where you just list out all of your accomplishments, or you want to have an online resume, or you want to just build out a page that has a bunch of paragraphs, or maybe you want a landing page for your product just to have a product image and a product description. If you want to have a very simple website like that, then all you need is HTML and CSS, and you can publish a simple site like that. But as soon as you want your website to do something, to have some behavior, you have to add JavaScript. JavaScript is a programming language, also called a coding language. And with JavaScript, we can actually give our websites some behavior and they can interact with users. So if you want to collect data on your site, or you want to sell products or mint NFTs, you have to add JavaScript to your site so that your site can actually do that behavior. That's the point of JavaScript, and throughout all of our 10 weeks of the course, we'll use JavaScript every single week. JavaScript is a very popular programming language, up there in the top 3, the most popular for building websites. So these 3 tools, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, these are the 3 tools that every web developer will learn at the very start of their career. So that's what we will start with in week 1, learning how to use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So with HTML and CSS, we can set up a page, we can add some styling to it to make it look nice. And then with JavaScript, we can add any kind of functionality. So you could have an online store, but if you have just HTML and CSS, then you could just show all of your store products and show how much they cost, show a title and a description. But if you want someone to be able to buy the product, then you have to add JavaScript so that when someone clicks on the product, then they can enter their credit card details, or maybe they can connect via their cryptocurrency wallet, and then they can buy the product. If you want to have that behavior, that user interaction, you have to have JavaScript. So that will be the basis of week 1, and then we have 9 more weeks to go. So after we learn these 3 fundamentals to web development, we're going to learn how to build a dApp with these 3 tools. So on top of a regular website, just a simple one even with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you can already, on top of that, add the dApp layer. But every dApp begins as a regular website, and then you just add the decentralized or the blockchain layer on top of it. So it's called a decentralized app, which is dApp for short, or a decentralized web app, because you have a web app, which is another word for a website, and you're adding a decentralized layer to your website. And the blockchain is the most popular format of decentralized technology. That's why you can also say blockchain web app, but typically you just say decentralized web app because you have a website that you're connecting to the blockchain. And we'll talk about some more examples of what that kind of website will look like shortly. So after we build a regular website, we will build a simple dApp. So just add that decentralized layer on top. Then we will learn another tool. This will allow us to build more complex dApps, and this tool is React.js. React.js is called React, and you'll notice it has this .js after it. May look like a file extension, like you would have your image.png. It's a similar idea here. React is the name of the library. A library is a collection of code that you can use for your own code. So if I want to have a website, but I want to quickly connect to the blockchain, I can use a helper library to help me connect to the blockchain instead of doing it all from scratch. So the purpose of a library, in that case, the library would be Web3. The purpose of a library is to have code that you can use to simplify tasks or to do a task faster because you don't have to write all of that code yourself. It's publicly available via an online copyright-free library. React is another example of a library. And it has this .js extension after it because it's built with JavaScript. So many libraries are built with JavaScript, especially if they're for web development. Other libraries can be built in other programming languages. Also, Kevin's asking if this is recorded. Yes, Kevin, we are recording currently, and we will post this to the Lumiwealth YouTube channel. All right, so we were mentioning React. So yes, after we build a simple dApp, we'll learn how to build more complex ones using React. So React is a library specifically to help you organize your websites. Because with this library, you can take your website and you can separate its user interface into components. The user interface, meaning what do we see on the page? What do the users interface with? So you can have a component for your sign up page. You can have a component for your dashboard. You can have a component for each product. And then you can reuse those components. So you can build one component, which is like a template for your product. And then you can build 100 products with that same template. So it allows you to build multi-page sites in a much more organized way, because instead of building 100 different pages for my one website, I can build 3 components and then use the 3 components as my 3 templates, and I can build 33 pages each from each template. And each template serves a different purpose, like one template for a product, one template could be for the cart, another template could be for the home page. Maybe the homepage template is only used once, the product template is used 50 times, and then the cart is only used once for each time the user goes to the cart. So that's why we're going to learn React. About halfway in the course, around week 5, we'll learn how to use React.js. So by this point, we'll be able to build a simple dApp. So we have the fundamental tools to take a website and connect to the blockchain. And then we'll learn how to build more complex ones because we can now organize more complex websites. So now that we've talked about how to build a regular website and some of the tools that we will use, let's talk about dApps. So what is a dApp anyway? A dApp is a decentralized web app, called dApp for short. They're called decentralized web apps because they connect to decentralized computing. This is a general term, and the most common form of decentralized computing is blockchain. If you have a dApp, it means your website can operate autonomously by connecting to the blockchain. So your website can take advantage of some of the benefits of the blockchain. So the blockchain is full of smart contracts. Each smart contract on the blockchain is responsible for some task or some business. For example, you could have a smart contract to represent a bank. And that smart contract can handle new bank accounts, it can handle deposits and withdrawals, and everything is managed in the smart contract. And that smart contract will live on the blockchain. Everything that you want to represent on the blockchain will be represented as a smart contract, like that bank. Or if you want to build an NFT, you have to build a smart contract for the NFT. And then you can define all of the properties and behaviors for your entity, like your NFT. Same thing with a cryptocurrency token. You can build a smart contract for that cryptocurrency token and then define what are the properties and behaviors of your cryptocurrency token. Okay, we have some questions. Bradley is asking, the blockchain is equal to the Ethereum virtual machine, correct? So when I'm talking about the blockchain, I am talking about Ethereum in this case. It's the most popular blockchain for building dApps. So yes, there are other blockchains out there as well, but when I'm talking about the blockchain, you can assume it's Ethereum. But actually in week 10 of this course, we do talk about some other types of blockchains that you can work with. Justin's asking, what are more kinds of decentralized computing? So they are still in development at the moment. I haven't researched many other types of decentralized computing, but it would be any type of computing where there's no central entity or owner, such as the blockchain. So the structure of the blockchain network is that different computers all around the world are running the decentralized network. There's no CEO of Ethereum. There's no data warehouse where the data for Ethereum lives. It's decentralized because it is a peer-to-peer network, meaning computers all around the world can connect to Ethereum and become responsible for keeping it running. And if you wanted to, you could connect your computer to the network and become one of the peers that keeps it running. So there's no organization that's keeping it running or owns it, and that's why it's decentralized. So any type of computing or software where there is no central entity and there's a focus on having a peer-to-peer network, that would be an example of decentralized computing. You may have heard of decentralized autonomous organizations as well, DAOs. This is another example of decentralization where you don't have a CEO of your organization. Instead, users of your company, they can vote on proposals and changes, and they can make proposals for what should happen in the organization. So it's called a decentralized organization because there's no central owner. Instead, it's owned by the users. All right, where were we? We're talking about smart contracts. Okay, so yes, everything on Ethereum is represented as a smart contract, like a bank or an NFT or a cryptocurrency token. Anything that you want to build, you have to build it as a smart contract. For example, if you want to have a loan system where you build a contract and people can come and take out loans from your contract, and then you can collect interest on their loans until they pay it back. If you want to build that kind of system to put on the blockchain, you would have to build it as a contract. So anything that you want to put on the blockchain, you build as a smart contract. Now in this course, we're not going to be building any smart contracts. That's what we do in the blockchain programming course. In this course, the focus is actually on connecting to those contracts because those contracts will live on the blockchain, but your website does not. Your website lives on the internet, but your website can connect to the blockchain, which is just another piece of software. So it's one piece of software or code, the website, connecting to another piece of software, which is Ethereum. And specifically, you typically will connect to a smart contract. So let's talk about some examples of dApps. A simple example is a passwordless sign-in dApp. So if you had a traditional website, just a web app, then users can sign in to your game or your store or your school by giving in their username and password, or maybe they sign in with their email and their password. So that would be a traditional form of signing in or signing up. But if you wanted to turn that into a dApp, then you can enable signing in and signing up via a cryptocurrency wallet. So it's actually passwordless sign-in. Your browser can contain a cryptocurrency wallet in the browser. And then if you want to sign into the dApp, you don't have to put in any username or password. The dApp will just get your wallet address, and that will be used for you to sign in. So that's an example of taking a traditional website where you would sign in with your username and password and changing it to a dApp, or maybe just adding a dApp layer, a dApp option, where users can sign in via their wallet. So the sign-in would be much faster. That's an example of a simple dApp, but of course dApps can get much more complex. For example, another dApp you can have is an NFT marketplace, where you have a website where you're going to connect to Ethereum and display all of the NFTs available for sale. Something like OpenSea, that is a dApp because it's a website that's connecting to Ethereum to get data or information and then to show that on the website. So the dApp is like the user interface for people to access the blockchain. And it makes it much more user-friendly because instead of me having to go to the blockchain to see what are all the latest NFTs I can buy, instead I can just go to OpenSea or another website and I can just see them all on the website and I can see all the data like the images behind the NFT or whatever kind of data the NFT contains, like a file or a video, and I can just look at them on the website. So it allows you to get a much larger audience. So that's another example of a dApp because you have a website that's displaying data on the blockchain. So in our course, we're going to learn how can we build a website that can connect to smart contracts on Ethereum? How can we access that data and then display it? As well, it goes beyond just displaying data. You can also interact with these contracts through the website. So if someone wants to buy an NFT, they could go directly to Ethereum, but it's harder to go directly to Ethereum. There's a higher learning curve to access Ethereum directly. If instead there's a website where I can go and I can buy an NFT, or I can create an NFT, it's going to be a lot easier for just anyone to create one. So your website can also change what is on Ethereum, not just get the data, but it can also change the data because through your website, you can connect to functions or tasks on the contract and you can run the tasks. So if there's a contract that says create an NFT, if someone presses this button, or not presses this button, but if someone calls the function create this NFT, I could go directly to the blockchain to call that function to run that task. But it's going to be much easier for everyone around the world to just go to a website, even if they have no understanding of how to code. They can still go to a website and they can press a button that says create an NFT. All they have to do is just press the button, and then the website is going to access the contract and run the task on the contract on Ethereum, and then send the results back. The contract successfully created an NFT, or maybe the contract failed to create the NFT because you didn't put in the correct data. So the website can communicate and change what is on the blockchain and then send the results back to you, and you can see, hey, I created the NFT, and all I had to do was go to the website. So that's why dApps are gaining popularity, because there's interest in the blockchain, and then the websites make it much easier to do anything with the blockchain. So that's another example of a dApp. And beyond that, you can also take advantage of the benefits of smart contracts. For example, let's say I have a school like Lumiwealth. Well, you can sign up everyone over traditional software, your traditional website, where you sign up users and they can purchase courses. And every time there's a webinar, they can log in and they can join the webinar. So you can handle all of that with a traditional website. You can also add an option or completely replace your traditional website, and you can do the same tasks over Ethereum. What you would have to do is create a contract for your school and put in everything that the school does onto Ethereum. And then your website would still exist, but your website would no longer be self-managing, where it does everything traditionally with traditional software. Your website would instead connect to the contract to do all the same tasks. Now you may be wondering, what's the point of doing the same exact tasks in a different way? It would just be a lot of work to convert all that code and change my website. Well, the answer is to take advantage of the benefits of contracts. So why are smart contracts popular in the first place? Well, there's some very popular uses for contracts like NFTs and cryptocurrencies. But beyond that, smart contracts have inherent benefits themselves. For example, they're all autonomous, so they're all self-executing. When you go to the contract to do something, it will happen automatically. Smart contracts are also transparent, so anyone can see what they're going to do. When you publish a contract to Ethereum, it becomes public. So this establishes trust because your users can go to the contract and they can read. Will the contract do what you promise? And if they're satisfied with the contract, then they can interact with the contract. If they think that your contract looks fishy or incomplete, or it just isn't doing something that you promised it would, then they don't have to interact with the contract. So this establishes user trust because you can't hide what's in your contract. The contract is publicly available for anyone to see as soon as it goes on Ethereum. Another benefit of connecting to Ethereum and contracts is to have that security behind the blockchain. So the blockchain, because of how the software is built and how it runs, it has some inherent checking for transaction validity. So an example is if I have one Ethereum coin and I want to spend it, and I spend it at your store, maybe via your dApp or via your contract, if I try to counterfeit that same Ethereum coin or double spend it, which means using it again, just like you would counterfeit a dollar bill, or you would try to spend the same exact money online twice with your credit card, so double spending, it's much harder to double spend or counterfeit a cryptocurrency than it is a regular dollar. And that's because Ethereum actually tracks its cryptocurrencies and where each token or fraction of a token is being sent. So before you do any kind of interaction with Ethereum, it will actually check, are you a valid user? Do you actually own that cryptocurrency, or are you trying to do a fraudulent transaction? So the reason that dApps and contracts are getting popular in the financial space especially is because of this inherent security factor. Because if you have a company that's transferring a lot of money around, or maybe you have a bank, or maybe a hedge fund, you're at high risk of being targeted for attacks. So one of the ways that you can compete against these attacks is to use smart contracts to prevent that counterfeit spending. Now, attacks on Ethereum, counterfeit spending, they still do happen on Ethereum, but they're much more rare compared to just your regular US dollar. So you can take advantage of smart contracts to improve security. All right, so that's another benefit of smart contracts and why a website would want to replace their features or their business website tasks with doing the same functionality over Ethereum. So you can still have the same online school, but you can replace or maybe just add on some of your tasks to be done over Ethereum. And we talked about some of the benefits, the transparency, the speed, the cost, and the security are just some of the reasons why you would actually want to do that. Why companies would want to spend time and money to actually build dApps in the first place, instead of just keeping their regular website the same. So here we have some more examples of dApps, right? Like a cryptocurrency exchange, right? So you can have a website where users can come, they can exchange one cryptocurrency for another via your website, and you can choose to collect a fee on every exchange or make it free. It all depends on what you want your website to do. Another example is a bank. So your bank could have a website for taking deposits, making withdrawals from your account in cryptocurrencies, and taking out loans. So typical bank tasks, but they're being done over the dApp. So the bank is still doing its tasks over the website, and all those tasks are being done over Ethereum. And the website is just the intermediary for users to come and do these bank tasks like deposit some cryptocurrency or take out a loan of crypto. And all of those tasks are being handled by the website, but the website is just the user interface for actually Ethereum, where everything is happening behind the scenes. And then on Ethereum, you can check if everything happened as you expected. If I go to your bank dApp and I take out a loan, I can check on Ethereum, did the loan actually happen? Is the dApp working? So the website is just the interface, but everything is actually happening on Ethereum. All right, so we have many different examples of dApps across many different industries. If you have a web game where you check ownership of NFTs, and if you own an NFT, then you can have a special character in the game. That's another example of a dApp because it's a piece of software that is connecting to Ethereum. In this case, it's connecting to NFTs, which are on Ethereum. So a dApp is typically referring to a website, but you can also have any piece of software connecting to Ethereum. But most commonly, it is a website. Now, we also have Web3. The name of this course is Web3 using React. So what is Web3? Let's talk about this topic next. Back in the 80s, we had Web 1.0. This is a way to refer to a phase of the web, a phase of the internet, where we had mostly static web pages. There were not that many websites out there, not many programmers. But then by 2000, we got into the current phase, which is Web 2.0. With this phase of the web, we have a lot more data going around because we have a lot more users, and we have social media, which is going to generate a lot of data too. We also have huge companies that have monopolies over different industries and that dominate the web. And now we are transitioning into the phase of the web known as Web 3.0. The goal of Web 3.0 is to improve the internet and to address some of the issues of Web 2.0. For example, Web 2.0, we have, again, these companies that have large monopolies, so it's hard for a small company to climb. With Web 2.0, we also don't have much user ownership of data. A lot of data is being controlled by these large centralized companies. And there's a lot of identity theft and security issues with Web 2.0 as well. So Web 3.0 aims to address all of those issues and more. And it does so by adding more tools and changing how websites are built. So in our course, we're going to learn how we can build a website that is using tools of Web 3.0. Before we continue, we have another question from Rhoda. Will you have to alter the URL? I think you mean of the dApp. No, you don't have to alter the URL. If we have Lumiwealth.com, which is a regular website, and we want to change it into a dApp, we can still have Lumiwealth.com afterward, because all you have to do is change the code behind the website and then change what files you're uploading to the internet. But the URL can be the exact same. It's just what files are you uploading to that URL. Great question. Okay, so we're talking about Web 3.0. In this course, we're going to learn how can we build websites that are using the latest tools of this next phase of the web, Web 3.0. Well, the largest way that Web 3.0 is being implemented is through dApps, using decentralized technology. Because Web 3.0 aims to build a more decentralized web, where there's more transparency, and smart contracts are a large way of getting this transparency at this phase. I imagine more technology will be built over time to address these issues, but right now the best way to address transparency is with these contracts because they are publicly available. Web 3.0 also aims to build more decentralized organizations. We briefly mentioned these earlier tonight, DAOs. So a decentralized organization doesn't have a CEO. Instead, users can propose changes and they can vote on changes of what should happen on the web. Also, your data is not owned by any one company if the data is being stored on Ethereum or in a contract. In that case, you can see exactly where your data is. So Web 3.0, another goal is to address ownership of data concerns. Maybe you watch videos online, you go to websites online, but then you're not actually owning your internet history or any kind of data that you store on different websites. Even if you go to a website and you browse their products, they're likely going to track everything that you're browsing, but you don't get to track any of what you're browsing. So again, Web 3.0 aims to address these data privacy or data ownership issues. These companies can benefit off of your data by using it for machine learning, for data analysis, to try to improve the company, improve sales. So they get a lot of benefit off of your data, but then you don't get much benefit or as much benefit from the data that you produce. So Web 3.0, another goal is to address these data concerns. Now, all of these concerns are not yet fully fixed, of course, because we're still in the phase of Web 2.0. But with more tools being developed like blockchain and dApps, we can transition to Web 3.0, where we do aim to improve the web. So those are some of the benefits of Web 3.0. You have a more transparent web if you take advantage of smart contracts. You also have a more secure web. And so we aim to improve the websites we built and the experience for the users. We also have a tool, web3.js, and we'll discuss this next. First, we have a question from Justin. What happens to the data? Is it erased or just floating somewhere? Let's see, I think you mean data that gets sent to a contract. If you can, please clarify which data exactly. If you mean data that is sent to a contract, that data will get stored on Ethereum. I'll just wait for clarification. Personal data searches. Okay, so personal data searches, it will depend on the website. So if the website and the web developers or the company, if they want to track what you're searching, then they will store it in their databases. They'll store every interaction you made on the website. Yes, so it depends on the company. All right, so great question. I hope I understood it correctly. Feel free to ask for more clarification. All right, so let's talk about web3.js next. This may look similar to what we saw before, react.js. So yes, we are going along similar lines. Web3 is the name of a library. Just like React, we have another library, which is a collection of code that we can use to simplify our development process. Web3 is a JavaScript library because it has that .js extension, which means it was built with JavaScript. So it's very easy to connect your JavaScript website to a JavaScript library. And Web3.js, it provides tools for us to quickly connect a website to Ethereum. So that's what this library is for, and we're going to use this library in our course so we can take a website and we can connect it to Ethereum. We can connect to Ethereum from scratch all by ourselves. We don't have to use a library, but it's much easier to build a dApp if you do use the help of a library. Just like with React, you can build a website without React, but if you have a 100-page website, your website is quickly going to get messy and out of control and hard to manage, and you're going to find it really easy to forget where pages are, what is connected. So that's why we use libraries to to help us abstract away the complexities. Like with React, we can use React code to simplify that 100-page website. Same thing with Web3. With Web3, it's a library that we can use to simplify the connection to Ethereum. Otherwise, it takes a lot of code to connect to Ethereum. But with a library, it's going to make it a lot simpler with less code to connect to Ethereum. So yes, Web3 is the name for the next phase of the web, but it's also the name of a library. And so we're going to talk more about Web3 in our course, really talk about how it works. And of course, we're going to use the library. So most of our course is hands-on projects. We do an overview of all the different topics first when we have to, but most of the course is project building. Speaking of which, let's get into our final topic of the night. How would we build a dApp? Well, there are different ways to build dApps, of course, depending on the project. And in our course, we will build many projects together, so you'll be able to see different types of dApps. And after this, we will talk about the whole curriculum of 10 weeks. But here's just an example of how to build a dApp. So it's okay if you don't understand all of this. There's a lot of technical terms, and we will learn all these technical terms in our course. So I'll just do a run through of this example project. First, you would build a new Npm project. Npm is a popular web development tool to manage software projects. So you would set up a new project on your computer. Then you would build a truffle project. Truffle is another development library commonly used to manage a blockchain project. Then we will run a local blockchain with an application known as Ganache, which is another blockchain tool. So we're going to learn a lot of blockchain tools in our course. And these are the most popular ones, so they'll be great if you do want to apply for a dApp developer role. So we'll run a local blockchain, which just means we're running a clone of Ethereum that runs on our computer. So it allows you to test your project for free and really quickly. Otherwise, if you wanted to run your project or send your project to Ethereum, you would have to pay gas fees, though it uses the same techniques as running a local blockchain. For development, we run a local blockchain. So this will allow us to do everything for free instead of having to pay for every transaction. Then you can build a React app if you have a complex website, which most often you do. Most often you have to use React to build anything more than just a portfolio website. Then you'd have to set up the website part of your dApp. Once you have the user interface part, you can then add the blockchain part. So maybe you connect to a cryptocurrency wallet. Maybe you connect to a smart contract. These are the steps. You set up your project, you run Ethereum for testing, you build your website, and then you connect it to the blockchain. And of course, there are many different ways of connecting. You might connect to an NFT contract. You might just connect to a wallet. You might connect to a bank contract. And we'll see different examples in our course. So this is just one sample project. And as you can see, we're going to use a lot of different tools, so you will learn a lot in this course. Next, let's talk about the 10 weeks of the course. So we'll talk about every single project that we'll build. I will drop a link in the chat to this page so everyone can follow along. If you'd like to go to this page with me, feel free. So this is the official course page on Lumiwealth.com, Web3 using React. Here you can read the course description, read more about Web3 and JavaScript, and you can also see the course curriculum. So in week 1, we introduce JavaScript and web development in general. So even if you don't know how to code, we cover the basics of coding in this first week. If you do know how to code, that will definitely give you a leg up and you'll be able to build the projects a lot faster. In week 2, we already start building our first dApp. So immediately we start building dApps together. This is a project-based course. In week 3, we continue that project, and in week 4, we finish that project. So in 3 weeks, we build our first dApp. Then we get into React. So in part 2 of this course, we learn how to use React. So we will build a more complex website with React. So part 1 is just getting us to build a quick prototype of a dApp. Then we learn how we can build more complex prototypes. And part 3, we develop dApps with React. Things like connecting to a cryptocurrency wallet, being able to see who is actually connected to our dApp. This is fundamental to dApps because most often users will want to interact with your dApp and do something, and they have to have an account on Ethereum to do so. So we'll be able to see their Ethereum account. We'll also build an NFT minting dApp where users can come and they can create NFTs on our website, and then our website will store all of those on Ethereum. So this makes it much easier for our users to create NFTs because they can just go to our website to do so. Week 9, we build a to-do list dApp. So this is an example of transforming a traditional piece of software into one that uses decentralized computing. So you're going to build a to-do list, but everything will be stored and all the functionality will be handled by Ethereum. So this is a good example because everyone understands a to-do list. You can add items, you can remove items, and it'll be the same thing. The website, you'll be able to add items to your to-do list. You'll be able to mark them as complete. And it may look simple, but everything is being done and tracked and stored over Ethereum. So you're taking a regular to-do list site, but now you're handling everything on Ethereum. So you'll really be able to see the difference between a regular site and then the transformation. And then week 10, we cover how to transition to different blockchains. So maybe if you're wanting to apply for a company that does not use Ethereum, how do you transition and use other blockchains like Solana, another popular one for NFTs? And as long as you understand one blockchain, you'll find it very easy to use another one. At the end of the day, they're all still decentralized blockchains. So those are the 10 weeks of the course. If anyone has any questions about the 10 weeks or anything, feel free to ask. So we have a lot of projects, as you just saw in this course. Next, let's talk about how you can sign up. So we have 3 different plans that you can use, and all of them also have payment plans if you don't want to pay all at once. First, we have the self-directed plan. So with this plan, you just watch the video library and you do the projects on your own. This self-directed plan. So you can watch back every semester, including this summer semester or the upcoming fall semester. You can watch them as they're published. You get lifetime access to the whole video library. So every semester that we do about Web3, you will get access to that. So you don't just get one semester, but it keeps getting updated. You also get all the code behind the projects and instructor support and access to our weekly discussion hour. Our next plan is the live classes. So here you can join each class live. We have classes running now for the summer semester, and we have some upcoming classes for the fall semester. So you get everything from the self-directed plan, but you also get 10 weeks of live classes, 6 hours of dedicated live Q&A, access to all future videos and code, help with 2 personal projects. You can get to know your classmates and ask questions live during the class. We do help with resume and interview prep, and we have unlimited chat and email Q&A. So that's what you get in the live classes plan. So if you need that extra motivation because the class will be live, just like our webinar right now is live, then this is the plan for you. And if you do have any hiccups throughout the semester, you can easily join live the next semester if maybe you're moving or you have a job change in the middle of the semester. It's totally fine. You can join next semester as well. And we also have one more plan available, the Project Help / Tutoring Plan. So you get everything that we just mentioned and also help with building a custom project, including software development if needed, and 10 hours of one-on-one video / phone sessions or software development time. So if you want help with a project or if you just want extra tutoring, then that is the project plan for you. So for any of these plans, you can click to select an option or add it to your cart. With these upcoming live classes, our next semester starts very soon, in just 1 month. The effort is about 8 to 12 hours per week, but it does depend on how much experience you have and what your goals are after the course. If you want to just watch along and that's it, that's totally fine. But if maybe you want to get a job in the space or you want to build your portfolio or change your resume, then you will have to put in more effort each week to build the projects. There will be homework and project suggestions every single week, but these are optional. We meet every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern or 5 p.m. Pacific. And each week we meet for 2 hours if you are in the live classes or the project help tutoring plans. Right, so you can select a course and this will take you to the cart. For example, here I've added Web3 Development using React live classes to the cart. If you buy 2 or more at once, you get an additional 10% off. So I recommend blockchain programming as the companion course because it's also in the blockchain space. Blockchain programming is about the back end, the smart contract side, how to develop smart contracts. And then Web3 is about the front end, how to build websites that can communicate with those contracts. So we don't actually build any contracts in this course, we just connect to them. If you want to build contracts, that is in blockchain programming. So you can add extra courses anytime to the cart. You can go to their page and add them from there or add them directly here. And automatically you'll get that 10% discount. Then you can proceed to checkout. And here you can enter your billing and shipping. If you want to pay with a payment plan, you can do that. If you need an invoice, we can provide those as well. For example, if you have some reimbursements at your current job for professional development and they need an invoice, we can happily provide an invoice. So you can pay with a payment plan. So instead of paying right now, you pay every month, you can do that. And then you can place your order just like that. So that is how you would sign up. And that is our webinar. Thank you everyone for joining me. Does anyone have any questions? Feel free to ask questions about building a website or the blockchain or the course. If you do have any questions later after the webinar, feel free to message us on Circle, lumiwealth.circle.so. You can make a post or direct message us. You can also book a call with us anytime here at lumiwealth.com/book-a-call. We'd be happy to answer questions there. Bradley is asking, how long after the course ends can instructor interactions continue? You can interact with us at any time. There's no limit on that. So if I go back, we have unlimited email and chat Q&A, so there's no limit on the interactions. Great question. So yes, as I mentioned, feel free to book a call with us if you do have any questions afterward. Arthur's asking, can I get this PowerPoint? Yes, I will paste the link to the PowerPoint again. Okay, there we go. The PowerPoints are on Google Slides. So yes, feel free to access that PowerPoint. And in our course, we do have PowerPoints as well, and project files. And you will get all the project files and PowerPoints for every single week. Great questions, everyone, tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope to see you in the fall semester. Again, feel free to message anyone, including me, on Circle with any further questions you might have. We will have another webinar next Monday about blockchain programming. So join me at Circle again next Monday, same time, if you want to learn more about blockchain programming. I will be here for that webinar as well. If we have no further questions, then I will end the webinar here. Thanks all for joining Lumiwealth again, and we hope to see you next Monday for our next webinar.